Read an article today that the most stacked division in UFC history is happening right now at 155 pounds. Now, that is a statement that whoever made largely without crediting me did come from me. But before I take credit for it, just because I have stated it doesn't mean that I was the only one that stated it. I mean, you don't have to be Kreskin, right? You don't exactly have to put on your Columbo rain jacket to realize how loaded 155 is right now. But now that somebody else has come and said it, it made me look at it differently to try to disprove him, even though that was my original thesis in the first place. But it's very tough to not look at 155 and look at how deep that is and not come to a conclusion, particularly with the recency bias that we all have. It is very hard, though, when you juxtapose today's 155-pound weight class with a 2012 170-pound weight class. Matt Hughes was still fighting. George St. Pierre, Matt Serra were still fighting. Dan Hardy was still fighting. Nick Diaz was still within the division. And don't forget, Carlos Condit was having meaningful matches. Tyron Woodley was on the roster. Robbie Lawler was there. Johnny Hendricks was coming up. Josh Koscheck had not stopped yet. I'm just saying, when you do look back over time, there are some weight classes that do mature with time. Right now, full harvest, crops are grown, 155, no doubt about it. But if you do go back and look at 170 pounds from, say, the year 2012, that hadn't fully matured yet. If you look at what happened when George St. Pierre stepped away, and now all of a sudden you see the rising up of Johnny Hendricks, who then passed the torch to Robbie Lawler, who passed the torch to Tyron Woodley, who had the torch taken from him by Kamaru Usman. I do think that when you look at that division, in hindsight, it just hadn't fully matured. And so many people will say, when you look at a division, well, those guys weren't in their prime yet. Shut up. You don't have any idea when a guy is in his prime. You don't even know what prime means. And most of you couldn't spell it. Most of you would spell it capital P, capital R, capital I, capital M, capital E, because you think it's an acronym for something. That is how little you know about prime. There is just a thing called maturity within your career. I don't mean that you're physically or mentally maturing. I mean that your career has finally risen up and it's ready to go to market. The one thing you will never actually know within MMA is who is the best guy. It's the same thing that boxing has. There's just no competitive architecture in place. There's no playoff system. Dustin Poirier was meant to be an easy fight for Conor McGregor, openly. We're bringing Conor up. We're going to bring him in some light work. Max Holloway had to fill that same void. You then look back and go, oh my goodness. One of the reasons that Conor's career has aged like a fine wine, it just looks so good looking back. That was an accident. That was unintentional. People didn't know Max Holloway was going to go on to be the greatest featherweight of all time, or that Dustin Poirier was going to go on to be a world interim champion and nothing less than a main event fighter in just a matter of 36 months from when that competition took place. So I only offer that for you because if you are to look at 170 from, say, 2012, and I'm just creating a conversation here, I tend to lean towards today's 155 as well. But if you come in and try to go, well, yeah, but those were young fighters. You're fine to do that, but you're never going to mature or be taken with a level of sophistication or credibility within the space of combat for your opinions. You will only base that opinion on the outcome of a fight, whether your favorite fighter won or not. I remember when this happened to Floyd. Floyd went out there, he beats up Canelo. That wasn't a competitive match. Canelo was not on good enough gear at that time to have the cardio. Canelo was way too damn slow for Floyd. Canelo did get on better performance enhancers. He's still too damn slow for Floyd. Either way, the story comes out that he was 21 years old and just wasn't able to go with Floyd at the time to explain why he won 3 rounds and lost 9 instead of the reality that he wasn't as good as Floyd. Now, Floyd beat him at 38 years old, just by example. So instead of saying that a Floyd who is no longer in his proverbial prime beat a guy who is too young, I can assure you if Canelo ever gets to 38 years old and loses a fight, people will then say, well, that was too old, and never come back and rewrite the story for Floyd. I only offer this example because it is one that you can just never beat. You will just apply it to whoever your favorite fighter was on any given night, and then you will reverse engineer and manufacture the outcome to meet your desired result that you didn't get.